what was some of the surprises maybe that you saw in the case? Because again, if this is of interest to you, we would absolutely recommend that you read the case, but we're just kind of giving you some highlights of how something can go wrong without without having the right players involved, and also with agreeing to things that you think are very simple. Like these term sheets were very simple, right? And the nuances of them were extrapolated and taken to the extreme. One extreme was, a jury award of 50 plus million, and where you had the agreement was just saying, hey, we will eventually pay out at the most under 5 million, right? And now you have, like you've even said, like, why was this even litigated? Because it was almost like dead on arrival. But what were some of the things that you think are important from a valuation legal perspective as well?
The main thing is the wife has direct claims. So the wife wins a lot, and she wins things we don't know about because they're invisible on appeal. The main issue in this appeal is her derivative claim. So this is the wife claiming to be a member of the marital LLC. So it's a Texas divorce. The LLC was incorporated in Nevada. So the appellate court calls it a foreign LLC. The husband is the only member. So one of the three issues was, does the wife even have standing to bring a derivative claim on behalf of the former marital business? Because the husband was the member, the wife was not. And her only piece of evidence, or the main piece of evidence on appeal that actually helps her win on the standing issue, is the year that they started the marital business, 2014, a K-1 was issued to the husband and the wife for the profits. And that taxation confirmation helped her on appeal that the jury had at least some evidence to find that she was a member. So she wouldn't even have been able to bring the derivative claim if you just looked at the husband's argument, you just looked at the incorporation documents, that husband's the only member. Outsiders can't. And in the appellate briefs, the husband's lawyers point out that a spouse of a member is usually limited to bringing a derivative claim after the death of that spouse, and that makes sense. But here, that taxation confirmation. So it's interesting just how the evidence comes from wherever it comes. But in 2014, the year of origination of this business, real estate brokerage on one side and Excel spreadsheet, data scraping, calculator business, intellectual property on the other side. So then the other is the cap. Husband argued on appeal that the wife can't get more than 4.25 million. So it's the 3.75 ceiling that was agreed to, a $500,000 bonus, and then another $750,000 to be set aside for their children, only if the marital business was bought out, if it got investments. So those were thought about at that memorandum of agreement stage, but it's more that term sheet. It listed those things, but it wasn't binding on the husband in the sense of he only agrees to spend 12 months from 2016 to 2017 putting best efforts forth on the marital business. After that, he can do what he wants, and he does. So the wife wins on standing mainly because of a tax document. The cap is not a cap. The court gives various reasons, but one of the reasons is the husband was supposed to create Holdco, was supposed to create IP Newco, which was going to divest the intellectual property from the marital business. He doesn't do either of those things, and the appellate court held, well, since he never created the entities that could have capped the wife's recovery, there's no cap. So she wins. That looks great. She wins on that. But the main part of the appellate decision is the derivative claim itself. And a claim here, you have to show duty, breach of duty, causation, and damages. She loses on the damages, mainly because the number she and her valuation expert came to was that the wife was owed 13.6 million. That's what they argued in closing arguments. That was in her financial expert's report. She's owed 13.6 million. The jury values not the marital business. Her own expert didn't value the marital business. The jury looks at the wildly successful post-divorce business and comes to a valuation of 138 million. And then the trial court and the jury give the wife a marital share of 54 million. All of those numbers are wrong, by the way. And even if it was right, she still wouldn't get 54 million because the memorandum of agreement only gave her an 18% interest, not a 50% interest. So there's a whole lot of math that goes wrong, but it all comes back down to what I find interesting is footnote 13. I want everybody to read footnote 13 because it really looks like the wife's financial expert is boxed in, that he's asked to value the wildly successful post-divorce business. He never values the marital business. And that's the disconnect that is really the crux of this appellate decision. What is the measure of damages for the husband failing to create holdco, failing to create IP newco, and simply abandoning the marital business? Because she's not going to get 3.75 million if the marital business has no business. That was a ceiling.